Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What is up? Man, it's winning on Wednesday. We're here live every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Well, not always both of us. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's just him. But one of us is always here for you. All for you.
Let's go. Let's go. Good morning. Good morning. Look, Melissa Ham, aren't you on a plane right now? Or are you already back in Austin? So we just saw Melissa in 8%. She's actually going to be in our office end of this week, Tony, and next week. So we're excited to have you, Melissa. Thanks for always tuning in.
She mentioned that when I saw her last week. She said, "You're going to see a lot of me here pretty soon." I said, "Oh, okay. Let's go."
She's in the Minnesota airport. Right on. That's what I'm talking about. Loyal listener right there. She's in the airport, still tuning in. Thank you, as always. Shout out to Christian Gardner, the best Facebook group moderator out there. Nice little hand clap to you. What's up, Aaron? How are you? And real quick, like Mr. Merwin said, where you coming in from? Where you tuning in at? Drop that in the comments. And also, too, looks like everybody is caught up right now, but make sure and let StreamYard view your comments. It is in the description of the show. And we've got an awesome show for y'all. And before we get into that, weekly win. What you got, Merwin? I know we probably are sharing the same weekly win, but what you got?
Probably, but certainly, just coming off 8% the entire experience and not attending 8% is my weekly win, but just the entire package that we dressed up for some of our peeps, right? We had Cody was gracious enough, gave us a great deal on a suite. So we had a suite where we could put like 25 people in there, and we had more than that, but they just kind of rotated through. But we also had floor seats, so some of our ticket purchasers could sit in the suite. They could hang out on the floor. And then, the Airbnb, the private party with the private chef, like you put all that together, dude, that was an awesome experience. And I talked about this a little bit yesterday when I talked about my recap of 8% on Tuesday training. Easily my favorite 8% of all. And that's because of the entire experience, right? The entire experience with the Syndicate crew, hanging out in the suite, hanging out at the pool at the Airbnb, again, the private party, the private chef, the whole bit. It was a phenomenal event. And the whole thing for me was just like a big slap in the face. I absolutely loved it.
It was, man. I think that's my win. 8% is definitely the win. I was telling Tony the other win is I wore these bad boys, my new 11s to the welcome party, and I didn't get any scuffs. So that was definitely a win for me. But it was the experience, and kind of going back, and even I'm going to give a shout out to Brian Moore. So Brian is somebody who's been literally tuning in to pretty much like 6 days a week on all of our podcasts for, I swear, like damn near a year almost. And just getting to meet him in person. Right. And that's Brian, right? And shout out, Brian. I love you, man. And it was great to spend time with you. I got to hang out with you at the Airbnb and just kind of learn more about you and everything you got going. But that's it. The Syndicate experience was incredible, right? And remove even Syndicate. Now, obviously, it's Syndicate. We want you guys to be with Syndicate, right? But I think it's more of what Syndicate stands for. Again, really disrupting the industry through collaboration and really the transparency of information shared. I mean, the networking and the conversations that were happening in that suite, it was freaking next level, man. And it was just really cool. And again, it goes back to that experience. And I think an experience is that much better when you're surrounded by the right people. And so that's probably my weekly win was, man, it was freaking sick. Faith was there. Yeah. Shout out Faith. Love you. It was good to see you there.
You're right about the networking, man. The networking was off the hook. Like I made a deal just sitting up in that Syndicate suite. I made a deal with a couple of other guys that's basically going to get me probably 50, 60 new D-SNP clients in my Medicare book.
Yeah.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like he's just going to refer this entire book to me that I can take care of and nurture.
We were talking tech stacks up in there. We're showing people are like showing off their CRMs and stuff and deals that they're doing. Man, it was freaking awesome. And speaking of somebody that was in the suite, it's our guest, and Tony, I'll let you go ahead and introduce her, but she was also spending some time with us in the suite, got to hang out with us at the Airbnb, and had a blast. But I'll go ahead and let you intro her, and we'll get her back on.
Absolutely, man. We actually met her briefly at SWAT, if you remember. And then obviously she hung out with us in the syndicate suite and then came over to our private party a little bit and had some fun. But this is a young producer that's out there lighting it up, and she's making some bold decisions. That when I talked to her a little bit while we were all hanging out at the Airbnb or at the private syndicate house, if you will, I got to have a conversation with her, and I don't know how way to put it other than she's making some bold decisions for her life and what she's doing, like decisions that aren't easy to make and take a lot of guts. She's out there producing in the Symmetry group. I'm sure she's lighting it up, but I'm super happy to bring her on. Let's please put your hands together virtually and welcome Kailey Grace. What is happening?
What is up, y'all?
Doing fantastic.
Happy to be
How are
here.
you?
Happy to be here. I'm good. How are you guys?
If I was doing any better, I'd probably fall down in fits.
Hey, all I gotta say though, she's gonna say where she's from, guys. She ain't from Texas, but she did just say, "Hey, y'all." Tell me you've been living in Texas for a little bit. I love it.
I like to keep people on edge. You know, they never know where I'm coming from. My slangs are all different, and they mix and match. So sometimes you're a dude, sometimes you're y'all.
That's fantastic. Well, take just a quick moment, right? Because we had a chance to meet you, but maybe a lot of these people haven't. So just take a quick moment, introduce yourself, kind of tell them who you are and what you're about.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Kailey Grace. I am from Honolulu, Hawaii. Relocated to Dallas, Texas for a short period of time. I did get into the Symmetry Financial Group about 10, going on 11 months ago now. So did you want me to go into the backstory? Just a little brief introduction.
Yeah, go for it.
So Tony was right. Big decisions, big moves. A little bit about my backstory on how I got into the industry at such a young age. Me being 18 years old at the time, I was always been put on edge. At 15, I come from 10 siblings, 5 boys, 5 girls. 7 of them are younger than me. So I've always been kind of the role model in that retrospect, the oldest girl, the household caretaker, if you'd like to say. At the age of 15, my story is that my mother, who's right behind here, she did pass away from a heart attack, very sudden. And that kind of took a toll on my life and obviously our family in so many different areas. And my father, he is a local business owner in Honolulu, Hawaii. He does fire alarm paneling, and my mother used to do the back office work for him. So at 15, I saw that, my father couldn't do it on his own, right? I was going to school. We were all in school. And I decided to make that decision, doing a one-on-one talk with my father, that I would drop out of school, get my GED, and help take over the role that my mother had, which was cooking, cleaning, bathing the kids, being able to do the invoicing, the QuickBooks, you name it. Basically, it was all on me now. And so I made that decision because I'm a very, I would say, selfless person. My family is everything to me. So mind you, being 15, I did not know anything about public accounting, nothing about numbers or invoicing. I mean, my mom, she tried to help me with the receipts and here and there. And,
aren't you still going through like algebra at 15? It's like
nothing about it. So I told my father, I was like, I think COVID was going on at the time in Honolulu. It was, everything was shut down. So I did enroll myself into a community college to get my CPA degree, to learn that side of things. So I was going to school at the same time while taking care of my siblings and my father. And it was huge. And I didn't mind it. Although I always knew that I had a big potential in me. It was just this fire, something that was in my soul that was like, you can do more. I didn't mind the stop. I didn't mind, putting my siblings first. Well, things happened. My father and I, we ended up clashing. My siblings and I, we ended up clashing. So I ended up moving out. I got myself a little car that I cash deposited $10,000 on. And I was like, maybe we need some distance. I want this to work, but it's not going to work. So I'm going to buy myself a car. I'll live in that. I'll come and work for y'all. And then I'm going to, go back to my little vehicle. And, and that didn't work either. So it just came to a point where my decision was, I can't help you if I'm not helped myself. I did get into like alcohol, and I was, I was coping in different directions. Mind you, I didn't really get time to grieve my mother at the time, because it was just, hey, moving on, got to keep it going, got to be strong for the kids. My younger brother was 3 years old at the time, so it was really not an emotional roller coaster for me. It was just, hey, what's the next steps? So I came to the realization, I was like, I am not in a position, I cannot help you guys. I don't know what's calling me, but I need to get away. And so I did make that talk. I ended up, as soon as I turned 18, closed my eyes, spinned around the map of the United States. I was like, I am just going to start fresh, start a new life for myself, build something. I don't know what it is, but it's going to happen. And so that was when I made that transition. I chose Dallas, Texas. Let's go. And I decided to relocate at being 18. And I went into, thought school was for me. So I did enroll myself in a university as well. I realized, I followed a professor home. Sorry, Mr. T. And I was like, I saw the life he had, the car he had, I realized that's too small for me. My mindset was a lot bigger than that. So on the side, while I was going to school, I invested, another $8,000 into a high ticket package program where it was like learning sales, but remotely. And then that is kind of where I got connected with someone who introduced me to the insurance space. And from there, I was like, you know what? I wish my mother had this. Insurance is, and so that's where my passion comes from, the insurance side. And I like to believe I spoke everything into existence. So realistically, and so I got into the insurance industry, and I've just been loving it since then.
Gosh. Yeah, and I know you're faith-based as well. And we can talk a little bit about that as well, because I know that's a big part of your life. But your test, you guys, I think this is it's your test will become your testimony, right? And I love it. Even you've been in insurance for like 11, it's like, but like how well spoken you are about where you come from, right? And I think that's, again, because of probably how early that you had to, grab the reins. But your test will become your testimony, right? And it's like, the shit that you're doing, I'm like, I just figured out how to start a QuickBooks Online account like a few months ago. It's like you got your CPA degree and like are putting cash deposits down on vehicles at like 16 years old. That's just so powerful, right? And so kind of, I do want to go back just a little bit, because I think for you to be able to grab those reins at 15, what was your upbringing like? What was that like over in Hawaii? Like where it was, hey, I'm good to go at 15, where I have that grit. I have the ability to just, let's get after it. What was that? And I kind of want to give a testament to your mom on that. Because I know that you have those pieces of her in you, and that's probably why you're able to do that. What was that like growing up?
Absolutely. So that was like, my father, he's a business owner, right? So he was very much entrepreneur spirit. He didn't believe in school. So him and I would fight against that. But it was, we would go out in the field with him, and he does fire alarm. We would go climb up the ladders and help him, run the wires. And we'd stay up till 3:00 in the morning trying to get a job done, only to go home and be with my mother. And she would be like, cooking, cleaning, the office work, just being able to pour into me in so many areas of my life that taught me how to balance it all. But it wasn't a normal upbringing. We came from very, very little. Honolulu, Hawaii is not the spot to, it's expensive, especially with 7 younger children. My father, local small business owner. So it was tough. We had to scrounge some changes a lot, sleeping on the yoga mat. And so I think that was a big factor of no beds. We never really had beds. It's gotten better a lot now, but just seeing where I'm like, I look at my friends who go to school, and I see the life that they have, and I see the life that we have. And I'm like, man, we work our butts off. Like, I don't know any other 12-year-old girl who can go climb a ladder and wire the red wire to the black wire to get the fire alarm panel to start, and we don't have anything. And so that was a huge, I guess, it factor on like what that burning desire came from. And I'm like, Mom, and I always used to tell her, and you can, testimony to my grandmother, but I was like, Mom, like, I'm going to make it. I promise I'm going to get you out of here. I don't know what it is. And I would tell her, and she's like, well, can you fly me on your private jet? And like, don't leave me. Like, you can leave, but and I was like, we're going to get our nails done. Like, I got you, Mom. And I was like, I'm going to take care of the kids. And so that was just a little girl coming from nothing, but I knew the potential. I would read books. I would just look at people who inspired me. And so it was just really not coming from anything, but working ridiculous jobs. And obviously my mother, I'm continuing to still show her that it's going to happen.
It's strong aspirations, right? Where it's like, man, I know. And I don't really come from much either, right? And obviously it's way different story, but it was always, you work for what you got, right? And that's how I was very much raised that way. And it's, I kind of want to say, I think that's a perfect segue for any new agent. It was funny. I was just talking to, I need to connect you, this total squirrel moment, but I don't even care. I need to connect you with Eugene Marchenko because he is trying to connect with newer agents literally within their first year or so to kind of give them more of a voice and allow everybody that's been in, 12 months or less to really connect and collaborate. And so that's my question to you. For somebody that's brand spanking new, right? That's green or that's been in literally less than a year, what are some things? Give us 2 to 3 things that you're doing. Obviously, I know probably the first one is like, hey, work your damn ass off, y'all. But what are 2 to 3 things that you're doing that are helping you kind of level up in the business or at least finding success in the business?
Yeah, a huge one, because I know it's a roller coaster of emotions and you'll have your ebbs and flows. I invest into myself first. I think putting myself first is so important. I do my morning routines, workout, my morning affirmations, my goals. I made myself every year, starting last year, a goal binder. So it's like my 3-month goal, my 6-month goal, my year goal. And so I'll review that and what's my why. So I think really putting yourself first. I know money's good, business is good, relationships are good, but if you're not good, I don't really think any of it can be healthy. So that's number one. Like, you got to have that balanced life. You got to be happy and enjoy who you are when you look in the mirror. And that's coming from a girl who hated her identity. And like 2 years ago, a year ago, alcohol girl, like you would have seen, I went by the name Grace because I hated Kailey so much. Like, that was how bad it was. So from that going into just so happy with who I've become, I think that's number one. And then number two, dude, Joe, you said it best. You got to just work your butt off. Like, it's just that work mentality of leave me alone. I'm going to just work because I know where I'm headed in life. And I'm not going to let anyone or anything get in the way of that. And so just being consistent with the activity that you put in it's key.
Beautiful.
I love that. Wow. Yeah. Gosh.
What
freaking wise. Wise.
You hated your identity, you said.
I did.
What was it about your identity that you were so dissatisfied with?
The biggest factor is at 16, my father, who I thought was my father, all my entire life, we did a DNA test because we were trying to do some legal terms, and it ended up finding out that he wasn't my biological father. And so that was like, my mom's gone, my dad, not my dad. So that was like, and then I felt bad, or I had a lot of, I guess, guilt, because I felt like I'm the reason for all of this. It was just a lot of, at 16 years old, you're going to start filling yourself with doubt. And so that was just, and then I had some pushback with my father because obviously, he was hurt in a lot of ways too. I didn't really have anyone to talk to. And so that was my identity crisis. It's just like, I don't know who I am. I don't know what makes me me. Wow. My mother used to tell me when I was like 13, she was like, hey, can you just tone it down a little bit? Like, you're the black sheep of the family. Like, I just need you to like push it back a little bit, because I think me and my father got into an argument, and he wasn't letting us go to school. And I had, been a 13-year-old girl. And I was like, the reason I do so good in school is to get away from you, and I'm going to make it, and you're not going to stop me. And so I think my mother, love you, Mom, like subconsciously knew. And so she wanted me to just kind of blend in a little bit when I was, obviously, I don't
not
blend
meant
in,
to be.
And so that was my identity crisis, was just who am I? Where am I from? What makes me me? And a lot of guilt, a lot of shame, like a lot of hate towards me. And so from that girl who just was so lost, so confused, to now, it's a long way, and it's not nearly where I'm headed yet, but
Yeah, that's a lot to absorb at any age, much less at a younger age, to find out
Right.
that that person in your life that you've always thought is your pops turns out is not.
Mhm.
Brutal. What, you moved into a car? You said you bought a car and moved into a car, and you lived there, and then you came back and were doing CPA work. What?
Yes,
What? I'm kind of curious. First off, what car?
it was a 2016 Dodge Dart. I loved that little thing.
Oh gosh, I wouldn't be able to fit in that thing.
No, you would not. Definitely not.
Put the
Me,
seat in the trunk.
Wow.
just like expand it out.
You're right.
How long did you live in that thing?
About 8 months, almost a year, I think, going into a year, maybe.
Would you just park it down by the river and just go take a nap?
Yeah. So I would go to the gym, park it by the gym, and I would. So the reason I did that was because I thought maybe the distance after everything my father found out, it was a lot of negative energy in the household, and I was like, you know what, maybe the distance could help. Just giving you some space, but I still want to cook clean for you kids. I'm not leaving y'all hanging high and dry. So that was like my mindset behind it. I thought that distance would help. And so I just worked part-time because any of the money I made from my dad's company went back into my family. Like, I didn't take that. So I got myself a little side job as a server, and saved that, and then deposited cash. Now, because a little backstory, I didn't have any parents to sign for me legally for my driver's license. I couldn't get a driver's license. So, and then that was kind of the reason for the DNA test anyways. So I had an aunt sign for me for that car and put it under her name. And then I would just basically go to the gym. I'm a 5 a.m. morning bird. So go to the gym, shower at the gym, and then get myself ready and head to the office. And then, so I did that and it worked it was like a Band-Aid. It wasn't
Right.
enough. And, ended up getting that car stolen. My aunt took that money and she resold it. She sold it for $15,000, and she took that cash. And that was the first burn, I guess, when it comes to like, hey, you got to watch your back. It's a cruel world out there.
Band-Aid got ripped off. Right.
Yeah.
Jeez.
As if it hadn't already, right?
Right. Well, right. I mean, gosh, I think, there's so many lessons that we've already gotten in literally like the first freaking 22 minutes of this. Right. But it's like, when adversity strikes, like, how do you pivot? Right. And I think that's, if anybody watches this show, it's like my favorite word is how do we pivot? Right. Not take a step back. We've just got to pivot. We got to change our pace, maybe change direction, whatever that is. I think it's just your story tells all of that. Right. And so that's kind of what I want to kind of maybe pivot to first question. So you said insurance. Was it just the first person you got introduced to was life insurance, or was it more of, hey, I'm interested in the industry, and then you kind of fell into life insurance, or was like life insurance right out the gate? Or was that, how did you choose that route?
It was life insurance right off the gate. It was a WFG, just basically showing what.
Oh, you were WFG first?
I was.
For like what, 2 months? After you recruited all your friends and family. Yeah. That's funny.
Hey, I was hungry. I was like, guys, like, call up those numbers. Yeah, no, it was life insurance. It was strictly, I think it was just that key factor of like, hey, someone passes away. There was already an emotional relationship to that.
Absolutely.
This happens, we can take care of this. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, we got foreclosed on. My father could not like have time to grieve. I saw the value in it right away. So life insurance at 18, I was like, heck yeah.
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 That's powerful. That's good stuff.
You picked Dallas just randomly. Like you said, you spun the map and just like,
Nashville,
whatever,
Tennessee, or Dallas. It was Nashville,
Okay.
Tennessee, or Dallas. I was torn between the two.
And why Dallas then?
So I was looking at like the opportunities, right? Because I was seeking that kind of thing. So big city Dallas, I was trying to place myself. I wouldn't really go into a small country, smaller state where there's not branding or names. So that was a big reason that it was a big city. I have family out in El Paso, Texas. It's 9 hours away, but it's still Texas. And then I love country music. I'm a cowgirl. Cowgirl boots and country music. I'm an island girl and then I'm a country girl. I'm so torn between the two.
But you don't know anybody in Dallas, or at least you didn't know anybody in Dallas.
Nope.
So what does that look like? You pack your bags from Honolulu and you get on a plane and you go to Dallas and then you walk off the airport, and then what's your next move?
So I go to El Paso first. I get my grandparent, my family, and I'm like, hey, this is the transition, because I did live in El Paso a little bit.
Okay.
While making that transition, I worked at a daycare. I was making like $5 an hour from 6 o'clock. Yeah, it was interesting. And I saved up some money to make that move. And so after that, I basically just enrolled myself into University of Texas at Arlington. And I was like, hey, okay, that's my escape door out is to go into a university. It was the right time. That's what my family members were telling me, go to college, get a job, and you'll be financially secure, I guess, safe.
Right.
And so I made that move February of 2022. Yeah. And dormed with some friends, worked at Cheesecake Factory, serving part-time, going to classes, and then doing that program that I invested into. So it was just kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing, no idea, but I'm just going to do it. And from there, I started doing my morning affirmations. I spoke every morning. I attract success. I attract opportunities, like doors open for me. I am a radiant energy. Like those words that I spoke into existence, I was at 8%. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm talking to Joe, and I'm talking to Tony, and I'm talking to Cody, and I'm talking to Nate, and I'm talking to all these people. And I'm like, I placed myself in this environment. I did that. Right. The universe, like, you just speak it, and the Lord will, he will watch you. I just have faith that it all works out. The trials, the tribulations, like, I don't dwell on anything I can't control. It just doesn't affect my emotions.
Oh, you just made such a good point there. And I struggle with this too. And I know a lot of agents do, is actually giving yourself a pat on the back. It's like, you know what? I did this, right? I think
yes.
we get so caught up in the day-to-day that we forget to reward ourselves, right? We forget to smell the roses, even if it's just for a second, right? Like, you know what? Like, I did that. And I think that for anybody that's listening, like, don't forget to do that. I think it's so important. Like, I remember, back when I first started, it's like, man, if I sold one policy, it was just like, woo, like, I'm freaking out. I'm going to the whiteboard, baby. Like, everybody in the office knows I just sold an auto policy, right? Where then it's like, I'm selling huge deals, and like my office is quiet because it just became so familiar. Like, hey, this is just what you do. It's what you're supposed to do. But like, I don't care if it's a renter's policy on the PNC side, which anybody that's in PNC, that makes you like $15 in commission. I tell everybody, it's like, hey, renter's insurance makes the world go round, baby. It's just a volume play. Or if it's like $173,000 account, right? It should be celebrated. So I think that was a very valuable lesson that you just said. For a lot of agents, I think, miss that, or maybe we used to. And then again, we just get so caught up in the rhythm and the rhyme, right? And that's like, we forget to celebrate. I think that's super important.
Agree. Don't ever want to lose that one.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's and don't dwell on it too long, right? Like, move forward, life continues. But just like a little, hey, I'm proud of you, and you want to speak to yourself positively. And I think, like, if you speak to yourself positively, then you expect everybody else to only attract that positive, radiant energy towards you. And I'm super big on, like, if it doesn't serve me purpose, if you're not positive, like, I love you and I wish you nothing but the best, but we don't need to cross paths again. I'm going to do what's best for me. Yes. Yeah. Super.
What were you studying when you enrolled in UT?
I was going it for business, financing again. I like numbers. I'm a money girl. So that was what I was familiar with. I already had my associate's degree, so I was just going to go further into my master's.
Are you still studying? No, now it's just all work. Let's go.
It's just all work. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. When I made that transition, when I was like, hey, I'm getting more into my account than I'm paying to the university, I was like, make this make sense for me 1 minute here. And then it was just like, college, like, Crickets. It's awesome, but the kids are like, the kids are just drinking and crazy, and it wasn't the right environment for me. And I'm just like,
Right. So I want to ask you, so let's go back to the young agent, right? Because I think you talked about the mindset piece of that. And I want to kind of go back to the tangible action items. Again, we've got young agents watching this, and I say young, right? I don't care if you're 45 and you've been in a year. I'm just saying young in the industry, right?
We got a few old ones watching it too.
Yeah. Tony's got some friends on here. oh, savage.
Burn.
I'm kidding. I love you. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I love you, Tony. You know that. What are some actionable items that you can get? Hey, this is what I'm doing on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. That again is like, these are things that you should implement in your business because they're really helping my business. Okay. What are just a few of those things?
So a few of those things, again, is going to just backtrack to like my day-to-day. Start with that morning routine, start with working out, start with just putting yourself first. And then in office, I'm 7:30, 8 o'clock, and it's hitting the phones. It's just picking up and start dialing. In the beginning, what I did while I was learning the scripts and I was just a newbie, not knowing anything about insurance, is I had plastered all the scripts all over my apartment. So my refrigerator door, my car door, my bathroom door, my window, like my mirrors, everywhere. So if I wanted to open up a cabinet, I'd have to read the lockdown script or the dialing script in order to use the restroom or in order to eat. So that was huge because my mentor said full immersion. Give yourself 90 days to just immerse yourself. So when I was working out, It was no longer music. It was, the presentation, or it was learning the products. It was my car rides. It was doing all of those actionable steps where and it's temporary, right? And it's just like full on, like, don't bother me. Like, I'm in this for the long run. So those were a lot of actionable steps I did. I also came into this industry with no money, or couldn't invest into my business. So Nate was like, do what it takes. What you have now is not what's going to be later down the road. So I started, Grandpa, I'm going to write you a 3 business plan of what this industry is going to do for me. It's a 3-page, read it. This is what I'm going to do. This is what's going to happen. And I need a loan. Like, I did what it took. I wasn't afraid to hear the word no. Loans and stuff. So doing what it takes to get what you want for yourself and for your business is also another actionable step. No excuses at all. There's zero, zilch, like none. If you want it bad enough, you're going to get it. So that was another thing. But backtrack to now, you need that consistent lead flow weekly. You need to have, people to talk to. So I think that's another thing, which just being really.
What do you think you're spending a week on leads? And I know obviously you probably like, man, I wish it could be more, but like, hey, right now, this is my benchmark. This is where I'm thriving at.
When I first got started, it was 1,500 a week. Because Nate said, full immersion, massive action, constant correction. So that's exactly what I did. I was like, I just need to mess up a lot, hurry up and mess up. So I know what not to do. Like, I need to just make the mistakes, listen to my recording, send it to my uplines. I could not talk to people like on a camera. Now I'm good. In the beginning, I was so happy and bubbly and, laughing and giggly, talking about life insurance. And it scared people off. Like, come on, y'all. Right. It was not good. And so that was the beginning, because I needed to needed to invest into my learning curve. Now I spend about 600 a week, 500 to 600, because I've gotten, I would say,
you've honed the craft.
Better. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so I make dials in the morning, go through what I got to go through. And then afternoon, like that little, 11, 10 o'clock, I do pending business, follow up on because that's another thing that I lacked in the beginning. Didn't follow up on my pending business, but you live and you learn, right? Lunchtime, I get a hold of more people. So I'll do my dial session again. And then appointments, evening, no appointments, more dials, and I just hit the phones. So it's really just sitting down and it's picking up that phone, y'all. It's not scrolling around, and I'm a squirrel. So learn from me and just sit, like, glue your butt to the seat, sit down.
What's your activity goals? So you say my dials, hey, I'm hitting the phones, like, hey, this is my bare minimum I've got to hit every day. Or at least the days that you're dialing and that maybe you're not. I guess it's all dialing now because we're all telesales now. It's not like hey, I'm dialing because tomorrow I'm out in the field. It's like, hey, every day I'm doing this. What are your daily activity goals when it comes to that outbound activity?
100 dials and then 50 text messages. And then I do try to recruit as well too. So that's another thing where I have goals. I'll do 30 text messages out to cold market or campaigns, a video a day. Like, those are just my numbers that I have to, or my, what's my to-do list. And then I think that's what you asked. Get a hold of, was that what you asked?
Yeah, activity goals. Yep, keep going.
Activity goals. And then I look to write consistently 4 to 5 APV a week is just like bare minimum my goals.
Okay.
15 to 20,000 APV a month is what I write. And then obviously I strive for a lot better, but I'm more so bigger on the recruiting side. My mentor helped me lay out a game plan of my run for agency owner. So it's like, okay, you need to, lead from the front, but also I'm more so focused on, I'm not going to sell insurance for life, long-term goals, what I have for myself. I need an agency. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So I'm bigger on the recruiting side. But I also want to lead from the front, like, hey guys.
Oh, you just hit the nail on the head. This is like the freaking perfect segue, right? You said 1 video a day as part of her activity goals. Everybody that's listening to this, you hear that? It's just 1 video a day. Now, let's talk about the power of social media, because obviously the power of social media has obviously helped you kind of, again, get into those rooms and allow people to become aware of who is Kailey Grace, who is this vibrant ball of energy that is freaking doing this, and this, my Lord, right? Social media, there's a lot of power in social media to get in front of more people that way, right? What is the social media doing for recruiting as well, though? Because I've seen your posts and stuff like that. So talk about maybe what is the power, like, hey, even if it is, or maybe even just some encouragement, y'all, like, I know, hey, look, I was this bubbly person that was talking about death to these people and I was scaring them off, right? Like, but what is the power of video, specifically video, right? Because I think you do a lot of video, not just stock images, right? But then how are you using that for recruiting as well?
That's so huge. And I wish, and I'm going to I wish I would have gotten on this sooner. Everything happens for a reason, but it's so, so powerful. And coming from a girl who hated herself and literally would do this in pictures, right? Because she just disliked who she was as a person, to now, I don't, and I hate to say I don't care, because my mom always said not to say that, but I don't really care what people have to say about me, fumbling up a word or not making sense when I talk, or I have a little weird accent where I don't, put my words in correctly. I don't know. And so I think it's just do it. Like, stop stepping on your own feet and just do it. The video content has been very helpful because it allows a lot more engagement, getting people's opinions. So when I do like polls and I'm like, hey, do you like tomatoes? Like, and I learned this, Cody brought it up at 8% too. That was so powerful. It was like, hey, do you like tomatoes? I like tomatoes. Like, sometimes I could eat a whole tomato as like an apple if I really wanted to. Do you guys agree? Do you disagree? And like getting that engagement.
Do you really do that? Do you really do that?
I know. Oh my gosh, I love tomatoes. Like in elementary school, we'd have like a slice of tomato, and almost the entire cafeteria, but my entire grade level would just offer their tomatoes to me. Like, it was a ritual because I love tomatoes.
That's funny. That's funny.
No.
But it's just it's stupid in a way, but it works, right?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So that's been really helpful. And I think also that balanced life of like, I used to be so hard-headed and like work. Nobody can see me have fun. Nobody can see me live my life because I'm supposed to be this amazing, young, hungry, hardworking individual who doesn't have fun in life. And like that balance didn't attract, especially people my age, but anybody, right? Because nobody just wants to see that. So I think also showing the fun side of you, the balance side of you, the working out side of you, like you want all of that because you attract different people. You attract it all. So I just think being very authentic with yourself, believing that you can do it, and get off your butt and just hold up your phone and take the video. Like, dude, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
12-year-old little girl had to climb up a ladder and hang out in the rooftop and wire some things and cut her hand, and that was hard. Cheesecake Factory serving, holding those hot plates, that was hard. This, not hard.
Easy.
You can do
it. Well,
yeah.
You're talking about authenticity, right? People do business with people, right? And there's no better way to show people like, hey, look, right? Because everybody's always on their phones. Like, and that's the funny thing. Everybody's always on their damn phones, but they're not using it at like half of its capability, right? Where it's like, they're sit there and scroll and troll, right? But they're not actually using it to grow the business. I'm curious. So far, obviously for your team, right? And I think, well, let's talk this first. What platform? What's your best performing platform? We'll say performing, but where are you getting the most engagement, the most interaction, maybe the most DMs, responses?
The most Instagram for me. I have lots of relationships, even from back home, Honolulu, Hawaii, where it's like I'm targeting my past relationships, my warm market, I guess is what you'd say. And then Facebook has attracted a lot of cold market opportunities. I plug into Facebook groups as well, and then I'll plaster my videos, or I'll plaster my content, or I'll outreach in that side, where I'm just branching off. And then I just plant seeds. I'm not really looking for anything right now. I'm very delayed gratification. I understand that concept very, very well. So it's a lot of just, hey, this, and I'm here, and I just want to like be the little team, like the little thing that like hangs up, and I'm just like, what's up? Like, that's me. And they're curious, and curiosity kills the cat eventually. And so I have people that I've talked to, or that have told me no 8 months ago, who are like, dude, what are you doing? You look like you're living life and you're happy, but you're so balanced. And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to show you. Click my calendar. So no's not a no. It's just not a not now. So don't think that you're going to go into the social media and it's going to be like, yeah, I just recruited this many people, and it's a waiting game. And if you love what you do and you're just patient about it, do the right things, and I really believe eventually everything it aligns. So Facebook, Instagram are my number ones. TikTok, I'm getting on there. My sisters kill it in TikTok. They're beautiful. So I'm like, hey guys, like help me market. Like, come on, y'all.
Check out Olivia Appleberry.
Olivia,
on TikTok.
She's on TikTok doing crazy
she teaches
life insurance
on TikTok and kills it.
Olivia.
So maybe check her out and follow her. She might give you some good ideas.
Thank you.
What are you doing? Like final expense, mortgage protection, a little bit of both?
I was doing mortgage protection, and I still do that, and life insurance, strictly life insurance, IULs, more advanced markets.
Okay. Oh, then you definitely relate with some of the stuff Olivia's doing, because that's what
awesome.
she teaches is all advanced market on there.
Olivia Appleberry?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll throw you. I'm friends with her. I'll throw you in a group chat with her. How about that? Look at that. All you gotta do is plant a seed, right? Maybe hop on a podcast, and then what do you know? Yeah, I met her through a coaching program a couple years ago, and she's 20 years old, and is crushing it on TikTok, right?
It's awesome.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, and I'm never like, that's so exciting to you just do it, and you just finally get out of your own head. And this has just happened to me recently, where I'm like, I don't mind looking stupid anymore.
You can't be afraid to swing and miss. If you are, you'll never hit a home run.
Everybody goes home to their house. Like, everybody has their own life. Like, at the end of the day, you're not really that important. Don't be don't be self-absorbed.
Where did you develop this mindset of investing in yourself? Is that something that was just innate to you, or is there something in your life that made you realize, hey, I need to make sure that I'm putting myself first, that I'm investing in myself, my mental growth, my emotional growth, spiritual growth, my knowledge of business, etc. Where did you pick that up from?
I believe that it was just my upbringing of seeing my mother. She was so sweet. Like, if you think I'm nice, she will give you your last penny. Like, she has been the most selfless person that I would ever meet in all times. And it was definitely a blessing. Like, she would watch the whole neighborhood's kids while she still had 7 at home. She would feed them everything when we had nothing in our refrigerator. And I love her for that. But I also saw a sign of it was just very, she got ran over, and she got taken advantage of. And it was me, even as a little girl, I'm like, Mom, you can't let people do that to you. And trying to fight for her, but just being a little girl never really worked. And so I saw what it did to her emotionally, physically, mentally. And I love my mom, but I would never want that for I would put a halt to it. So, and I told her this too. I was like, just, you got to put yourself first. Like, stop it. Close the door on those people that are they don't care for you, and you're doing everything for them. So that was where, like, I think subconsciously it planted the seed. And then growing up, and then just realizing, like, I looked at myself in the mirror and I realized I hated who I was. I put so much blame on me. I remember when we got the phone call in the morning from my mother, like, instead of crying, I literally went into the mirror and I looked at myself and I was like, I effing hate you. Like, I hate you. You're a terrible person. And, like, I don't know why. I think it was maybe, those were the first instincts. Like, not even, I miss you, Mom. No, Mom. Like, it was, I hate you. And so it was those things where I finally fed up with it. And I'm like, I don't want to be that girl again. I don't want to be the lady that's who hated herself, who didn't love herself, who was being taken advantage of from her father, who would let these words, like my younger siblings would say, if you try to tell me something, I'm going to say, shut it, girl, you're not even our sister, you don't even belong here, because of those stuff. So I finally like cut it off. And when I made that transition, I was like, I can't help you. I'm going to do big things for you, siblings, and I promise I will, but I can't help you right now. If you can't save someone if you're drowning yourself, like you just can't. And so when I made that transition at 18, that was the best decision. And it was a huge, and you're right, Tony, it was a huge sacrifice. My family was everything to me. I had nothing going into, the mainland. It was literally so scary. So many nights of me crying myself to sleep, so lost of identity and direction. But it was a heartache that has allowed so many blessings in the long run. So that was just where I was like, I'm going to invest into myself. Relationships would come in, and I'm like, I'm so laser focused on investing into me, pouring into me, loving myself first. So that's where the affirmations came in, the goals, the morning routine, all of those things that have helped me just.
Not to embarrass you, not to put you on the spot, if you're okay with it, what are a couple of your favorite affirmations that you tell yourself?
My favorite affirmation is I attract opportunities that are abundant, healthy, successful, and wealthy. That's my favorite. And then I am a radiant glow of energy. I light the ways, and I will inspire and speak on multiple different stages to help change and transfer lives that are in need of it. And then my favorite one is I am a perfect image of my Father who's in heaven. He has healed the brokenhearted, and my mother is continuously watching over me and sending me blessings along the way.
Love it.
Yep.
I believe
like
it.
Melissa said, she's your guardian. Hey, I have a question for you, Kailey. When are you writing a book? When's that coming out?
Agency owner.
Agency owner first.
Agency owner. Agency owner. I'm looking 23, 24, 25, maybe 23.
Oh, you could do one right now. No problem.
Okay. I have a journal, so it's not going to, I was actually just reflecting after 8% conference, my journal that I wrote back in February of 2022 when I started, till what I speak in my journal now, and just the gap, that huge transition. And I'm just like, dang, another pat on the back and keep going. No, but
right.
Yeah, so writing a book, I would just read back on all my journals that I wrote along the way.
Isn't it wild? Well, and that's what we were talking at the Airbnb. You're like, damn, Joe, like, how do you know all this? And I'm like, you just keep coming, right? It's the consistency, and you just like, it's crazy when you look back a year at the relationships and where I was at 8%, and that was like however many 8% I've been to. It's like, gosh, how much has changed in just like at the snap of a fingers, right? Real quick, what was I would like to kind of start to wrap up a little bit on this, but what was your biggest takeaway from 8%, Kailey?
My biggest,
or maybe a couple of the biggest ones.
My biggest takeaway is, Emily Ford was my favorite speaker. And that was just a takeaway of your past does not define who you are. Obviously, like I acknowledge that, but I think she really just enforced it and like nailed that into my mind, of being able to look at what has happened, the abuse, all of it, like all the, I was a 10 out of all the 10 questions she asked. So being able to acknowledge that, but then like scream that out and let it go. And I'm like, that is not who I am. That is not where I'm headed. That was my biggest takeaway, of just really releasing all those endorphins. And then obviously the takeaways were just the relationships, like really placing yourself in the environment, getting in the room, being there, being present, being engaged. I've had a lot of people come up to me because I was front row, and they're like, hey, your engagement was like through the roof. It was awesome. So realizing like eyes are on you, eyes will be watching you. So it's really important with what you do. And then another one is just, it's a matter of, hey, you know what you need to do. Like, it's going to be hard. It's going to be a roller coaster. You're not nearly where you're going to be. I mean, the guy with the Lambo and Steve, and just like what he went through, and just the different.
It's a McLaren. It's a McLaren. Don't call it a Lamborghini. He'll be pissed about that one.
Okay, McLaren. I'm sorry, Steve. Backtracking. Where it's like, dang, put your shield on, like you're about to go into the storm, embrace it, love it. It's not going to be easy, but man, it is well worth it. And I see it on everybody, one of those guys' faces, those girls' faces, of what they've been able to go through and who they are and how it's just really made them, gave them character. So that was the biggest takeaway of like, all right, put my seatbelt on. It's going to be a roller coaster. It's going to be intense, but I am ready for it. I'm loving it. And
I
so
love
it just
that.
made me excited.
Look, somebody put, I feel like I'm watching young Joe Campered in female form. You're going to do huge things. Guys, I'll tell you right now, I got in when I was 19. I was not doing this shit at 19. I was scanning paperwork. Like it was, I mean, Kailey, you are, and that's why I love, honestly, this podcast too, to be able to give a platform to somebody of yourself as well, because, you know, looking back, I started when I was 19, and I know Tony started when he was young too, getting in. And it's like, man, like what you have now, like at 19, like, holy shit, like if I knew half of what you did back when I was 19, right? I mean, and that's kind of, again, the power of video, guys, the power of getting yourself out there. You know, how many lives can you really impact? And I think a lot of people limit themselves. But Kailey, like, you have grown folks that have been in this industry for 25 years. Shout out Ryan England. I love you, man. He's like, I can't wait to get this to my life insurance producer. Right. And so it's like, for somebody who's 11 months in, like, that's so powerful. I have to give you a huge shout out, because it's like, yo, she's way ahead of me. That's for damn sure. Like, I was an intern, customer service. I mean, it took me years to get to where we're at. I mean, I can't even imagine, you know, when you've been in 9 years like I have, Kailey, like you'll be freaking taking over the freaking world. It's going to be so cool to see.
Thank you. I really do appreciate that, Joe and Tony. It means a lot.
Yeah, no, well, we certainly appreciate you having on, you know, like when I had a chance to meet you, you were telling me your story about everything in Honolulu and then moving out here.
That was my wife. That was my wife
blown away. So I was blown away by it.
Yeah, no, I definitely have learned to embrace all of it. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it used to be like a pity party for me and a sorry and why me, like, you know, why is this happening to me? And then I just turned to the Lord and I finally found faith, and I was like, he knows what he's doing. Who am I to judge him? Just rest in it. I do not worry. I feel so much peace. I have so much faith that everything will work out exactly as it should. And I'm not going to fight against it. I'm no one, and he's everything. So I really believe, like, my faith and just being able to talk to him and, hey, you know, Lord, this happened to me today and I'm kind of worried, and, you know, this and this and this, and I'm just filled with anxiety, but I know you said not to worry, and can you just help me? And like those kind of things, and just being able to talk to him. Like, he carried me through it all, and I would not be who I'm at without him. And so thank you, Lord, for just never giving up on me. Even when I spoke against his name and wanted to give up on him, he did not let me go. So I love it.
It's amazing. Well, real quick, let's end, because we haven't we forgot to ask you at the beginning, because we just got right into the freaking meat and potatoes. What's a weekly win for you?
A weekly win? Dude, 8%. I mean, being home with my grandparents, I love it here, and they are the reason I am who I am as well. But 8%, that was freaking crazy. That was, man, the relationships, the notes. I have pages and pages of notes that I'm just reading every morning. My takeaways on what, you know, I'm going to apply into my business, and realigning my goals with my vision, realizing that I've been able to, like, expand it a lot more than just, I'm thinking too small. I can think way bigger. Like, you know, my time frames are a little bit too long. Let's crunch it down, and I'm writing a book by 21.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hold on. Erin said she's got a connection for you if you want to start now, which, hey, you need to also connect with Erin, because she said she had I don't know if you saw that earlier. She has a very similar story when it comes to her father and stuff. So connect with her too. And she's awesome.
She's out there in Dallas.
Oh, sweet.
Yep.
Let's go get coffee.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
For sure. Follow me on Instagram, Miss Kailey Grace, and we'll connect.
Miss Kailey Grace. Perfect, man. There you heard it.
Grace.
Is that the best way for people to connect with you? Is just right there on Instagram, Miss Kailey Grace?
Miss Kailey Grace, my Instagram or my number. It's going to be one of the very few Hawaii area codes. So 808-200-8835. Again, 808-200-8835. I'm an open book, so we can connect. I'd love to. Love relationships. So I'm all for it.
Well, man, thank you again for taking the time out of your day to come on and light us up. I think you've inspired a ton of people on this podcast here. And as always, you know, our podcasts that we do, they are recorded. They live in the group forever. So any of you that want to rewatch this, just go up to the videos in the feature tab. You can rewatch it. It will obviously always get pushed out to YouTube as well. And if for any reason you didn't know we had a YouTube channel, We do, and it's fantastic. Make sure you go over there and subscribe. And as always, man, thank you guys for
All
tuning
right,
in.
before
We're
you
always
hang
here
up,
every
hold on. I'm
Wednesday.
going to do a video. Okay. I'm gonna
Uh-oh.
just be like, what's up, Joe? What's up, Tony? Waiting on Wednesday. Check it. Okay, ready? What's up, Joe? What's up, Tony? I am here waiting
Let's
on
go.
Wednesday. Let's go. Check it out
Let's
on
go.
Facebook and YouTube. Have a good day, y'all. All
Juice.
right.
Boom.
Like that.
Love it.
See how easy. Hey, that's a piece of content right there, y'all. Like she's got multiple pieces of content from just being on the podcast, and now she's like content inception. I freaking love it.
Feel the Fear and
That's
Do
so
It
good.
Anyways. That's an amazing book, by the way. Check it out. Feel the Fear and Do It.
What's the name of it again?
I got to know who it's by, but Feel the Fear and Do It Anyways. I've read that like 3 times. Very, very good book.
All right.
But thank you guys so much for having me on. Loved it, and I appreciate it so much.
Yeah.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you again. Thank you all you guys for tuning in. Joe, you got any
And
final thoughts, final words?
It's the peak of the week, baby. Right? Like, hey, and that's I love what you said earlier, right? Guys, when you look in the mirror, be proud of who you are. Don't forget to pat yourself on the shoulder for even the smallest of wins, right? But ultimately, get out there, get in the room, right? And create some new relationships. And really, you can do that through social media. So it's the peak of the week, y'all. Keep crushing. Thank you again, Kailey. Thank you to everybody that was tuning in. This is probably, I honestly, I think it might be one of our highest viewed live shows that we've ever had within this group. So thank you to everybody tuning in. Again, we'll see y'all next week and hope everybody has an amazing rest of your Wednesday. Let's go win.
Bye, guys.
Later, y'all.